Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, today October 13, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you get skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we need to take a look at an expert insight here. This is Andy Hazelton. He's actually an associate scientist at the University of Miami, who from time to time makes some very accurate posts about what's expected across the Atlantic. And he posted today at around 7:52 a.m. stating, "The other wave of interest is emerging off Africa. It's a pretty low amplitude weak wave for now, and it doesn't seem like it'll be in a hurry to develop. GEFS or GFS have not surprisingly backed off on development east of the islands. The best bet for development is probably going to be 7 to 10 days or so from now when it's in the Caribbean. If it manages to stay north of South America and not go directly westward into Nicaragua. Right now, AIFS FNV3 show a lot of land interaction and keep it weak, which isn't a bad bet if it doesn't deepen and gain latitude at some point. The environment in the Caribbean does look favorable if something manages to lift north at all though." So we can see this is the tropical wave that he's basically referring to coming off of Africa as we speak. A lot of cloud showers and thunderstorms associated with it. We see the west coast of Africa right over here. And he also highlighted what the ensemble models, the AI model, that's the FNV3, show something basically passing to the south of Jamaica. Even though we've seen the global models, some of them pushing a crazy system into Jamaica, but we have to take those forecasts with a grain of salt. I mean, that is a ways out. Today's October 13. This is valid for October 23. This is 10 days out. I know that so far out in advance, things aren't set in stone to really occur. We also see he highlighted right here how the upper level wind shear should be across the Caribbean. Not really much of anything in terms of upper level winds tearing the tops of the thunderstorms off. So whatever is trying to develop over the next 10 to 11 days, he's definitely going to be having a low wind shear to work with, so it could definitely possibly develop. But we have to keep watching to see exactly what unfolds. Taking a look at the surface map of the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at 7:12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:12 p.m. Jamaica time. We see that we're still watching Tropical Storm Lorenzo. Now it is equidistant from the Lesser Antilles and Africa. If we take a look at the infrared, we can see the clouds, the showers, and the thunderstorms associated with Lorenzo right here. A tropical wave right in here. We see the other tropical wave right here off the coast of Africa. A lot of clouds associated with the trough and the tropical wave that have been bringing some moisture to portions of Jamaica over the last couple of days. And if we take a look at the next name on the list, if something should form after Lorenzo, we know that the next name on the list is Melissa, followed by Nestor. Very interesting names. And we need to also highlight what Andy stated as well, because yes, the global models have been showing something coming into the Caribbean by, let's say, 6 on Monday, and it is within the 168-hour time frame. So we definitely have to pay close attention. I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 24 to 48 hours, the Hurricane Center highlights a code yellow somewhere down in here. Very interesting for sure. We can see right here is where the moisture and an isobar should be located on the Euro. This is valid for 6Z on Monday, October 20, so that's 1 a.m. Something already in the southeastern Caribbean. And if we take a look at the GFS, we see even deeper convection down in here, even a red L. Very interesting, and we definitely have to watch these low latitude systems, because if you remember, this was what Ivan did, this was what Beryl did, and we know how easily they can lift west-northwestward and push into Jamaica. Even although there's a high chance that it could definitely hug the coast of northern South America and maybe even head west into Central America, we definitely have to pay close attention to see exactly what unfolds over the next 7 days. And I will definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Regarding the latest here on Tropical Storm, what's the tropical storm's name again? That's Tropical Storm Lorenzo. These systems that are out to sea, you can't even remember their names. So yes, we have some deep convection associated with it. Not really looking that organized right now to become a hurricane. As you can see here, it is now packing 50-mile-per-hour winds. We know that systems that pack anywhere from 39 to 73-mile-per-hour winds are classified as tropical storm. So it's up there in the intensity, almost a medium range tropical storm. So it's not closer to depression status or hurricane status at all. So it's up there. It is moving towards the northwest at 12 miles per hour. Should maintain that tropical storm status throughout its lifetime. Then look at this. It's curving northeastward, then to the east, then to the southeast. And if we take a look at some of the spaghetti model plots, some of them are very interesting, actually showing that it's going to be curving around, making a loop the loop and pushing back towards the west. Very interesting. So could it actually push west enough to make it into the northeastern Caribbean, or will it just push west enough and then curve north once again? We'll see it actually plays out. We see a lot of these models show something similar regarding the curving of the curving of Lorenzo in general, and we see that the models definitely keep the intensity in that tropical storm status in the greens, even although a few of these models make it up to hurricane status category 1 if not category 2. The majority of them keep it into tropical storm status over the next 7 days. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we still have that trough across the western Caribbean, still attached to a frontal system into the Bahamas. We can also see a tropical wave right here just to the east of the Windward Islands. We saw the thunderstorms associated with that. We saw the symbol associated, we see the symbol associated with Tropical Storm Lorenzo right here. Another tropical wave just to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. And that tropical wave that just exited the West African coast that could develop as it heads into the Caribbean over the next 7 to 10 days. And if we take a look at the visible satellite imagery of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can see the clouds associated with the trough interacting with the frontal system into the Bahamas right in here. We can see the clouds associated with that tropical wave. Definitely looking a bit formidable. I even think I see some spin down in here. Very interesting tropical wave. A lot of deep convection down in here just to the east of Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and it's pushing westward as we speak. We can also see the clouds associated with Lorenzo right in here pushing towards the northwest, and the other tropical wave right here to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, and that other tropical wave right here that just came off the coast of Africa, looking very active across the main development region over the next 7 days for sure. Very interesting times ahead. We definitely have to pay close attention as we wrap up the last 2 months of hurricane season. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, October 13, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have brought some isolated flash flooding to sections of Jamaica last night into Monday morning. And we know when we're talking about, well, it stated most parishes. So, when we're talking about most parishes, we're talking about all the parishes in Westmoreland, not all the parishes in Westmoreland, all the parishes in Western Jamaica, that's located in the county of Cornwall, all the parishes in Middlesex, that's central parishes, and all the parishes in Eastern Jamaica, that's Surrey County, not to mention the southern parishes and the northern parishes, all of them the same. So regarding all of that, we were expected to get rainfall throughout the day, but the rainfall was selective as usual. We mainly got the rainfall across the southern parishes in the early morning hours because a post was made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica in the early morning hours. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page Weather Jamaica, but they're also made here on our Instagram page Weather Jamaica, on our TikTok page Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So at around 3:51 a.m., the Jamaican Doppler radar imagery was posted, and it highlighted the greens into the yellows into the golds. That represents some light to moderate, even some heavy rainfall pushing into southern Jamaica. So anywhere from Westmoreland eastward, definitely gotten on the rainfall. St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, definitely gotten on that moisture pushing in from the south for sure. And then at around 1:06 p.m., we saw the visible satellite imagery, and it was highlighting the clouds starting to push in more so from the southeast. Definitely bring more overcast skies, if not thunder showers, especially to sections of some northern and western parishes. So we definitely have that activity across western Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, sections of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, definitely gotten on some of the action. And if we take a look at the visible satellite imagery of Jamaica, we can see it all even better. Look at that southeasterly flow, and we even had some clouds coming into portions of eastern to central St. Thomas, bringing some overcast skies, if not some rainfall at that time as well. But you can clearly see that the brunt of the activity is starting to push towards the west, and the infrared confirming the thunderstorm activity that took place, especially across the northern parishes today. All of these blues into the greens, into the yellows, into the oranges, reds, the blacks, that represents that deep convection, not to mention the sparkling white dots that represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, especially across the northern parishes where we had that daytime heating during the afternoon, just as predicted. And as you can see, at around recording hour, most of the activity is starting to dissipate and push out of here. And if we take a look at the infrared, well, not the infrared, Jamaican Doppler radar imagery, we can see how it all unfolded today. A lot of moisture pushing into sections of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, pushing from south to north, then eventually starting to come in from southeast to northwest across the island. And we definitely have the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing the moderate to heavy rainfall that was taking place here in Little London, Westmoreland. This was at around 8:41 a.m. And as you can see, we're definitely getting in on some decent rainfall. One man hopping on one leg right there, going through the rainfall. People in their vehicles, windshield wipers definitely on to confirm what they've been getting in on all night into early this morning. But this was at around 8:41. So at that time, most of the activity was, starting to die down a bit. But it was definitely raining throughout the day for the most part across these south central, southwestern, and northern parishes, especially the northern parishes during the afternoon. It was more so sunny, if not partly cloudy, across the St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas sides for sure. And we definitely have the confirmation right here from the accumulated precipitation map for the past 24 hours from the CIMH, that's the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, definitely confirming where we had that rainfall today, especially across sections of some northern, southwestern, and south central parishes. And we definitely have some comments that came in here from some of our followers. We have Alicia Hall stating, been raining in Kingston non-stop from yesterday, at least where I am. The place is cool though. This was posted 15 hours ago, so within the past 24 hours, more than likely in the early morning hours. We have Cad stating, listen, the thunder was out to slam me out of my chair. It was so loud, St. Mary. Even on our Facebook page, we had the comments coming in. Gwendolyn stating, my family lives in St. Mary. I'm going to call them right now. We have Joyce stating, what about St. James, my parish? Yeah man, St. James definitely got some rainfall. You have Tanra Lee Young stating, raining in St. Elizabeth. Don Mark stating, raining in Kingston. You have Judd stating, no rain in Monique, St. Anne yet. It's still sunny and bright. We had rain last night. We also have Naiki stating, sunny in Maypen, Clarendon. Livingston stating, rain just start, fall Amobe. Deneva Hume stating, raining in Hanover. We have Eileen stating, raining in Trelawney. Paulette Stevenson stating, St. Catherine, sunny for the most part of the morning, but some overcast skies visible at the moment. We also had some comments coming in here on our Instagram page. Super Duper Kimmy stating, rain in Old Harbor most of last night and it light rain at the moment. We have Edward Stenisha stating it's light raining here in Manchester. Walkboat Paul stating no rain in the Kingston 8 and 10 areas yet. We also have mind underscore and underscore heart 25 sitting, I hope there's no more rain, cause me not like how the thunder shake up the car outside and I set off constant alarms, and the lightning never felt good. Hopefully it's just regular rain we get without the wind and the thunder. And we even had some comments that came in here on our TikTok page. Cassie underscore the underscore best sitting, same here in Clarkstown, Trelawney. JJ Brown 64 sitting, is it gonna rain tomorrow, the 14th of October? Well, you have to watch this video to find out. We have Shanice Bennett stating little rain in Mobay. Georgia Jackson stating sunshine in Kingston. Norris stating rain in St. Mary for sure. And that indeed confirms some of the comments that came in from some of our followers about what the weather is like over the past 24 hours. Alright, so we're about to reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website, the latest Jamaican Doppler radar imagery, the latest Cuban Doppler radar imagery, the latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar imagery, and the latest Cayman radar imagery. We want to see exactly what's taking place right now across the island. Alright, so the latest still image here from the Weather Nerds website is showing 0105 UTC, which is actually 8:05 p.m. So this just came out 5, 10, 15, that's about 17 minutes ago, considering that it is 8:22 p.m. right now. As you can see, we actually have some leftover clouds across western Portland, section of St. James, northwestern St. Elizabeth, and we actually have some isolated thunder shower taking place across section of Westmoreland as we speak. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that if I reloaded it once more, there's gonna be a new image coming out. There we go. The latest image just came out. So the one that we were just looking at was showing 8:05. Now we have the 8:15 imagery. So this just came out 7 minutes ago now, considering that it is 8:22 p.m. right now. And as you can see, we actually have some thunderstorms right here across southwestern Hanover, northwestern Westmoreland. And we're gonna be seeing if we're seeing the same thing on the latest Jamaican Doppler radar imagery. And yes, we are. Look, we don't see much of anything across central to eastern parishes in Jamaica, but look at that heavy rain band right there across the western end. We're talking about western Westmoreland, intersection of southwestern Hanover. Definitely in line with what we're seeing here, the thunderstorms. You know, we can have clouds and not necessarily rainfall, and we're glad that we have the Jamaican Doppler radar, because look at these clouds across St. James into northwestern St. Elizabeth, and these clouds across western Portland. One would have thought there's rainfall underneath, but look, nothing in terms of rainfall. The rainfall is right here across the western end of the island, and this is showing 0105, so that's about 8:05 p.m. so it's a bit outdated, but it's still showing the rain bands right here across the far western end. And we're talking about some moderate to heavy rainfall at that. The greens into the yellows, they represent some moderate to heavy rainfall across western Westmoreland intersections of southwestern Hanover as we speak. And if we take a look at the Cuban Doppler radar, I think this one is outdated. Is it? Yeah, man, it's definitely glitching, because it should be showing 9 something, because it's 8 something now in Jamaica, so it should be showing 9 something Eastern Standard Time if we actually want to see the updated image. But we see that it glitched out at around 8:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 7:42 p.m. Jamaica time. But as you can see here, a lot of rain bands across sections of southeastern Cuba, the Cayman Islands over there. Regarding the Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, we're also seeing some of that rainfall that we saw on the Cuban Doppler radar across sections of southeastern Cuba into northeastern Jamaica. Regarding the Cayman radar now, look at the moderate to heavy rainfall affecting section of the Cayman Islands as we speak. Very interesting. We don't really see much of anything happening across central to western Cuba, but we can definitely make out that rain band that we saw across western Jamaica, Westmoreland into Hanover on the satellite imagery as well as the Doppler radar. Regarding what's taking place right now, the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel is showing what's taking place around the flat bridge. Not seeing much of anything. Don't even see any vehicles. I hope everything is alright. Nothing broke down or any accidents causing traffic. Usually when it's this, deserted, something happened. Hopefully it's not the case. Okay, I think I see something coming. There we go. Something just turned onto the bridge, so nothing is happening. That's good. As you can see here, We have at least one individual turning here, going about their business. So definitely fair conditions taking place. And that should be the order of the evening into the night, even though the real cover is definitely murky. We see it has that brownish, orangish, shading that shows that we definitely have been getting some decent rainfall, especially upstream for sure. It doesn't have that normal green look at all. Regarding the temperatures right now, we can see that we're 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Tuesday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Tuesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we can see Jamaica shaded in the grays that represents average temperatures. I know the average temperature for the month of October across Jamaica is around 89 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.6 degrees Celsius. So that should be the temperature forecast for Jamaica on Tuesday. And we have at least one maintenance outage advisory here from my JPS online Twitter page that we have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight this because we know that when we're power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in this area, if you have friends or relatives who live or work in this area, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Tuesday, October 14, 2025. We're referring to Rhodes Hall, that's located in the parish of Hanover from 9:15 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see some dry air right here just to the north of the tropical wave, to the northwest of where we have tropical storm Lorenzo. A lot of dry air off the east coast of the United States, a lot of dry air across the Gulf. We know that the dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain. But if you notice, majority of the Atlantic has a lot of moist air. Anywhere you see the blues and the grays that represents a cloud cover, that's a lot of moist air, and that's what we want more of the moist air, so that we get more clouds, so that we get more rainfall to keep water in our pipes. And if we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for the next 3 days, so we're heading into October 14, October 15, and October 16. And as you can see, Jamaica should be right here in the clear for the next 3 days. No Saharan dust. Some Saharan dust was pushing into the waters to the north of the Caribbean, but as you can see, most of that is being ushered out back towards the northeast for sure. And we're glad for that because we know that the Saharan dust can definitely cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some person. So we're indeed grateful that the Saharan dust has dwindled down and is moving away from us. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, still seeing the light shades of blues into blues that represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height to 1 meter wave height, extending from the Gulf into the Caribbean, and that's because of the weak winds that are expected. First of all, we see more of an easterly, if not east-southeasterly flow of winds across the eastern to the central Caribbean, averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to at least 15 knots. More of a northeasterly flow of the winds across the Gulf right here, averaging 5 to 10 to 15 knots as well. And if we zoom in on Jamaica's wave forecast for tomorrow, for the Fisher Folk, to the north of Poland, 0.5 meter wave height expected. To the north of St. Anne, 0.3 meter wave height expected. To the north of Hanover, 0.3 meter wave height expected as well. So too to the south of Westmoreland, to the south of Clarendon, 0.5 meter wave height expected. While to the south of St. Thomas, 0.6 meter wave height expected. And that is because of the winds that are expected across the island tomorrow. We definitely see that east-southeasterly, if not southeasterly flow of winds across the island for sure. So anything that comes off of the sea, it could, bring some rain to the south, if not the east. But for sure, we're going to be getting on the daytime heating rainfall, especially across the northern and western parishes, because that's where we have the least amount of wind. So that's where we could have some of these low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds. And the upper-level winds still coming in from the east, if not the east-northeast. So if we continue to get some thunderstorms across the island tomorrow, these cloud tops are going to be sheared off, just like what we saw here across St. Thomas. We saw the cloud tops shearing off towards the west southwest, if not the southwest for sure. Definitely bringing more overcast skies to section of the southern, if not western parishes. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS, they are both valid for 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. And what do both maps show? Both maps are actually showing rainfall across the eastern, central, and western parishes for sure. And we see that on both the Euro and the GFS malls. So we're talking about anywhere from Hanover eastward, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, even section of St. Thomas, highlighted with the blues. So too, Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland. Very interesting for the afternoon. And the fact that both the Euro and the GFS malls are showing this, well, it increases the chances of it actually happening. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here that are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday are actually showing rainfall across the island for sure. We see the greens into the yellows into the oranges, and the reds represent anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall up to an inch of rainfall or less for sure across most areas. The Euro going up to at least maybe 0.8, maybe at least 1 inch of rainfall in some spots. GFS going up to at least 0.84 of an inch of rainfall. And we'll say it actually plays out, and whatever happens, we'll definitely take it, because we're in the month of October. And in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here, we usually receive 196 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's about the same as 7.7 inches of rainfall. While in Portland, we usually receive 230 millimeters of rainfall in October. That's about the same as 9 inches of rainfall. And if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of October, you can visit nomadseason.com and that website to show you that information. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next one, John 68 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represent inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so as you can see here, we actually have some greens represent some isolated showers in and around the island for sure on Wednesday morning. And then on Wednesday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers still affecting eastern, central, western parishes. What does the GFS show? Wednesday morning, the isolated shower activity is surrounding us. Then Wednesday afternoon, rainfall across sections of eastern, central, western parishes once again. What do we see on Thursday morning? Not really seeing much of anything on Thursday morning across Jamaica on the Euro. But Thursday afternoon shows rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes once again. What does the GFS show? Thursday morning, maybe some isolated showers across the far eastern end. Thursday afternoon, look at that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. And Thursday looks like it's going to be bringing us a lot of rainfall for sure. Very interesting. What do we see on Friday morning? Friday morning, maybe some isolated showers across the far eastern end of the island on the Euro. Friday afternoon, rainfall once again across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. What do we see on the GFS? Friday morning, not really seeing much of anything on the GFS. Friday afternoon, however, we're seeing that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What do we see on Saturday morning? On Saturday morning, not really seeing much of anything on the Euro across Jamaica. Then, Saturday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What do we see on the GFS? Saturday morning, maybe some isolated showers across the far eastern end. Saturday afternoon, rainfall looks like it's across sections of some northern and western parishes. What do we see on Sunday morning? On Sunday morning, we're seeing some moisture surrounding the island. Very interesting. And then we're seeing that on Sunday afternoon, something similar, eastern, central, and western parishes. And we're stopping it right here at the end of the 1 John 68 hours. So we spoke about this earlier, that future possible tropical wave could be pushing into the Caribbean by that time. But at that time, we don't see much of anything across the island. Maybe just some isolated showers across the far eastern end of the island. What does the GFS show? Sunday morning, maybe some isolated showers surrounding us. Sunday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. And we're stopping it right here at the end of the 1 John 68 hours as well. And just like on the Euro, we see the moisture right here into the southeastern Caribbean associated with that strong tropical wave. We'll say it actually plays out. If it actually develops, whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days. Both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until That's Monday, October 20. And as you can see here, we have a lot of dark reds into the purples, into the pinks. That represents anywhere from 2, maybe up to 3, maybe 4, 5 inches of rainfall, especially for a portion of Northern South America into Central America over here. And we also see some of that, the dark reds into the purples, the 2 to 3 inches of rainfall into the Windward Islands, into the Leeward Islands, into Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. And if we take a look, it's not only the Euro that's showing this, but the GFS is showing something similar. As a matter of fact, the GFS is incorporating more of the Greater Antilles than what the Euro was showing. Very interesting. So these areas could get in on some isolated flash flooding for sure. And if we take a look at Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Monday, October 20. And we see the Euro having Jamaica shaded in the greens, yellows, and oranges that represents anywhere from 15 millimeters of rainfall, maybe up to 60 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS, anywhere from the yellows into the oranges, we're talking about 30 to maybe 60, maybe even 70 millimeters of rainfall. We'll see it actually plays out, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs over the next 7 days. Alright, so regarding what's taking place across the rest of the Caribbean, so we still have that moisture pool associated with the trough interacting with the frontal system now across the Western Caribbean into the Bahamas. We also see some moisture right here just to the east of the Windward Islands associated with that tropical wave. To the east of the tropical wave, we have tropical storm Lorenzo. To the southeast of Lorenzo, another tropical wave just to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. And right here off the coast of Africa, that tropical wave that has a chance. Well, the Hurricane Center hasn't highlighted it yet, but we see what the models have been showing. Very interesting, so I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 24 to 48 or maybe even up to 72 hours, the Hurricane Center highlights something. Let us see what's taking place near Puerto Rico right now. We're actually seeing some hit or miss isolated light to moderate rainfall to the north and to the south of Puerto Rico, as well as to the east of the Leeward Islands. And if we load these images from earlier today, we saw we had that easterly flow bring some rainfall to section of eastern, central, and especially western Puerto Rico, moderate to heavy rainfall at that. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we're seeing some moisture pushing from east-west just to the south of Barbados, pushing into Trinidad and Tobago, some moisture to the north of Barbados as well, pushing towards, looks like Dominica into Martinique. And regarding the wider VF Doppler radar images, we can still see all of that moisture associated with the trough still affecting a portion of the Cayman Islands. Some moisture passing just to the north of the ABC Islands. As a matter of fact, some of it looks like it's pushing towards the ABC Islands. Some moisture across Nicaragua, northwestern Venezuela. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. And we see all of these areas that are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds that represents an inch of rainfall or less. We're talking about section of the Bahamas, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, section of Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, St. Bart's, Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, section of the ABC Islands, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, section of Guatemala into Belize, the northeastern Yucatan. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Regarding what's taking place across the Eastern Pacific, we're still watching this area that has a now medium chance of development just to the south of Mexico as it pushes off towards the west-northwest. We can definitely see the cloud showers and thunderstorms associated with it, most of which are still overland across sections of Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, pushing westward as we speak. And we know the next name on the list after Raymond is Sonia, so let's see if that system acquires that name. Regarding what's happening on the Western Pacific side of things, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center here, showing that we still have that code a little far east of the Philippines, something that has a low chance of development within the next 7 days. Nothing across the Indian Ocean. But we're still watching that system that was a typhoon to the south of Japan yesterday, now downgraded back to a tropical storm just to the east of Japan as we speak. That's Tropical Storm Nakri. We can see the clouds associated with it. We can even make out an eye right in here as it quickly swings out towards the east. We see the close-up right here, definitely away from Japan now. It is now packing 60 knot winds, and we know that systems that pack anywhere from 34 to 64 knot wind are classified as tropical storms. So it's a high-end tropical storm right now. Still expected to push out towards the east northeast, then all the way making more of an eastward trek eventually, you know, back to, well, still maintaining that low-end tropical storm status, but more than likely it's gonna be out of here, maybe becoming just the remnants of that name system eventually. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.